Hello, Archangel here, and this is going to be the first of my beginner's guide series. And today we'll be looking at the Frost DK from Sandy Cheeks here. Okay, first off, we're going to look at Deathknight Frost talents. This is for dual wielding, by the way, not two-handed. I run with a standard setup of talents. I do not use Obliterate. Instead, I use my Howling Blast. I'll come to that later, though. I go straight into Desecration by taking Disease damage and Unholy Command for Death Grip. I also make sure I have all points always in Blade Armor. I do take my, Interrupt Runic Power thing and on a Pale Horse. So for now we'll take on to attack. The glyphs I'm currently using are Glyph of Howling Blast to instead of Icy Touch, Glyph of Frost Strike to increase the amount I can Frost Strike, and Glyph of Icy Touch, so the Frost Fever, which is the disease, not Icy Touch itself, does more damage. I also, for major glyphs, use Glyph of Strangulate, Hungering Cold, and Anti-Magic Shell. For the minor glyphs I use Glyph of Horn of Winter, Glyph of Blood Tap, and Glyph of Resilient Grip. You want to always make sure your diseases are up on a target. When they are off, you're pretty useless without them. You want to mainly use Howling Blast and Necrotic Strike to get your attacks away and use up all your runes. You'll also want to be using Unholy Presence when doing this. Frost Strike is what you should be spending your runic power on, as it does a lot of damage and compensates with your mastery, because that's what you should be stacking. You need to always keep up Horn of Winter on yourself, because that is one of the most important buffs and pretty much the only buff a DK gives off apart from his own presence. The cooldowns you have to use are Pillar of Frost, which I have a macro for, and Empower Rune Weapon. They are the aggressive cooldowns. You have Anti-Magic Shell, which is very useful against in PvP against targets, especially when trying to avoid Mage's Frost Novas. You also have your Death Grip, which isn't much of a cooldown, but is very useful and should be used to take fleeing targets towards you. You can use Hungering Cold to freeze people around PvP flags and also healers in arenas. Defensive cooldowns include Icebound Fortitude, which can get you out of stuns and also reduces your damage by 20%. This has been nerfed quite a bit since it was in the past, down to up to about 40 to 50%. They decided that was a bit too overpowered, even though I don't think so. But yeah, you also have your Death Pact, which requires you to have a ghoul out, and it sacrifices it to give you health. This has also been nerfed. You have your Lichborn, which can be used to get out of fears, but also to heal yourself with Death Coil, which is another thing to spend your runic power on. As for macros, I run with a standard macro of allowing Blood Tap to be casted at the same time as Pillar of Frost, so I'm never out of runes when I want to be casting Pillar of Frost, which is almost every time it comes off cooldown. I have a very important Death Coil Lichborn heal macro that you can see there. You can find all these online. This is very helpful, so you don't have to press Death Coil. You don't have to press Lichborn and then Death Coil. This will just do it at the same time as long as you keep pressing the button it's hotkey to. I also have a Ghoul heal which summons the Raised Dead, and then if you press it again, it will sacrifice it, which frees up buttons. Obviously, I'm not using it here for some reason, and that's it for macros. You should mainly seek to gem strength, but always take your socket bonus, and you also need to put at least 250 spell penetration gems onto your gear and put the 70 spell penetration enchant onto your cloak. You should take mastery when you're looking for a yellow gem, and when you're looking for a blue gem, probably spell penetration, but strength and stamina if needed. For enchants, you want to go straight down the strength place, but you also need, may I remind you, that spell penetration right there. Of course, you need to buy the PvP ones. I would use Rune of Razor Ice offhand and Rune of Cinder Glacier on the main hand for your rune forging. And yeah, that's about it for that. For reforging, you want to reforge everything you can to mastery, but make sure that your hit chance against 85s for special attacks is 0.00. Obviously, I'm a bit over the limit there. Expertise also, parry and dodge chance need to be 0.00% on 85s. After that, just spam mastery on all your gear. And remember to get that expertise and hit rate in gear, so you don't have to reforge into that. My standard add-ons I use for PvP are battleground targets, which come which makes you see the enemy team in rated battlegrounds and all their specs and their classes, so it's easy to target people from there and take flag carriers, which is very useful. I also use Gladiator's LOSSA, which calls out certain abilities of your choice when they're cast by other members, which is very nice. And I use Gladius for Arena, and that's the main three really. I also use things like Power Auras and Deadly Boss mods, but they're not so important. Well, Power Auras is for your class, depending. So thank you for watching, and I will make more of these in the future, but not too quick, every now and again. Thank you, goodbye.